Hello, and welcome into another episode of Storytime with Sky Fellowship. I'm not going to lie, I might need to put a chapter here. I've got a lot to say as an update, like as a housekeeping update, before I actually get into the episode, so I understand if you don't care about that sort of thing, this might be long. Because what I'm about to say is technically true, but also it's good news. I am in a Professor Farnsworth, good news everyone, genuine happy moment at this moment in time. I think I finally fixed all of the tech issues that have been plaguing this damn thing. On a technicality, I am re-recording this video because of tech issues, but not. So this video recorded fine yesterday, but I literally spent all of my Sunday trying to fix whatever the hell this was, and it seems to be something that seriously wasn't my fault, and I know a lot of people say that, but it's the manufacturer's fault because the Elgato that I use apparently doesn't like a specific brand of USB port called ES Media, or As Media, it might be how you say it out. And when I say brand, I really do mean like Coke, Pepsi, that kind of brand. I didn't know that that was the USB port that was in the front of my PC. I thankfully had another USB-C port on the back of my PC, and I had to hope that whoever made that port was a different manufacturer. I got around to actually setting it all up and plugging it in. Ever since I got this card, I have had to unplug it, boot the software, plug it in, then record. Because if I do it any other way, it almost fully crashes my PC. It shuts off every single USB port as if there's a power surge thing going through. It's been driving me mad. Add in then the fact that some days it would work, some days it wouldn't, has been driving me mad. Today, this is the first time I've been able to actually boot the software. It did have a weird hitch. Like, I hit record on this and it didn't record, and then it did, but only for 3 seconds, and then it stopped, and then it started again. So I intentionally stopped the video because I didn't know technically out of those 3 seconds how much were even on air, or I'd started to talk and then noticed it was happening. So either way though, I think I finally fixed all of this. Like, genuinely, I am over the fucking moon right now. So yeah, I'm going to say there's going to be a lot of videos that go up because I did spend all day working on this, and it meant that I used pretty much every last drop of energy I had to re-record every video that broke, which was another 9. So I was absolutely exhausted yesterday, and I recorded this one because I thought I don't just want to get back to where I was. I know it's greedy, I know it sounds silly, and I know I'm making things worse for myself because I am really running on empty. I want to record one more thing, so I've done something new. And then I listened to it and I realised I've just got absolutely no energy. The video itself was fine, but I'm like, I don't want to put that up. Some of the stuff I've re-recorded genuinely sounds better. Like, overall, it's a better video than what I had originally, so I'm happy with that. Some are on caliber, on par, and one might be a little worse, but it is one of those that it depends on your definition of worse. You're never going to know the difference, so I'm still happy enough to put it up because it was, I think I forgot to see it, a story type thing that I wanted to, like an idea I put into the video, and if so, then I can just put it into the next one of that genre. It doesn't really matter. So that, yeah. That's the housekeeping done, and I'm going to have put in the comments that when you actually see gameplay footage, the video starts, and I'm going to say this episode is called Peak, or how to continue gaming after you've hit your peak, essentially, but I'm probably just going to call it Hitting the Peak. And I'm going to be in late game Silksong areas, so final areas, spoiler stuff. Like, if you don't want to see anything like that, I need some footage in the background to do this, and I am actually going to be talking about Silksong, so it made sense that this is the game that I picked, because you may notice, due to the amount of Zelda videos that will have gone up, which, hey, at least on the plus side as well, this is not a Zelda video. I know many people might be okay with them, but I know it's one of those that I truly have just ended up getting in this loop of doing Zelda after Zelda, and it's just that when I'm in the middle of playing one thing and I get an idea for a video, if it's on a thing that's got another video or series, it could be a case of, oh, I need to remember to say this in this video and this, so I end up just doing multiple Zelda. It'll happen when I do Mario stuff, you know. I might find a better way to upload them, so at least you're not seeing them in that order, but either way, Zelda is incredibly important to me, and Tears of the Kingdom is what I consider to be my personal peak of gaming. Like, that game was perfect for me. It felt like it was truly made for me. I know a lot of people say that with a lot of games. Silksong's another one where every single time I wanted something from this sequel, it gave me it and it did it better. And it's Tears of the Kingdom gave me pretty much the story that I wanted, that I've always wanted in a Zelda game. Silksong has given me the combat and the movement abilities in the combat game. I know I'm not doing great here because I'm really trying to focus on what I'm saying, but I am genuinely so much better at Silksong than I am at Hollow Knight. I absolutely bodied so many bosses because the combat in this game, the peak fucking combat in this game, the floor, it makes you feel like a ballerina, and I kind of do mean that in the terms of the movie Ballerina as well. The whole way through this game, I felt like combat was a ballet dance, and once I learned my moves, I was fine. And it really is, like, the entire combat just absolutely sings. You'll be going all over the place. You can do that to hit off an enemy, you can pogo to hit off an enemy, so you can chain that into that, double jumping, like, you can make it so that you're pretty much permanently staying in the air. The flow of the combat is just perfection to me, and I'm really glad Silksong came out when it did, because I'm gonna rewind a little bit to when Hollow Knight came out. I've always loved Metroidvanias. I'd heard amazing things about it. I had a Nintendo Switch and bought it day one when it came out on the Switch. It's the sort of thing that I genuinely would have backed on Kickstarter if I'd been using Kickstarter at the time, and I know a lot of people will say that because it's this game and like the Kickstarter thing's there, but I have a feeling a lot of people will be like, yeah, I really wish that I'd been on Kickstarter. I think if anyone had actually been on Kickstarter and seen this and decided not to back it, I feel worse for you than me, who simply didn't know that this existed on Kickstarter, you know? Because, yeah. So, I knew the hype going into it, and I played about 5 hours, and I really wasn't getting it. I couldn't figure out why people were absolutely raving about it, because it seemed fine enough, but it just wasn't quite clicking for whatever reason. So I shut it off after about 5 hours and went and played something else. Honestly, can't remember what. Went back, beat it, and then I came back to Hollow Knight, and I was like, I need to try and get into this because I know it's going to be for me. Maybe I've just had some teething problems, because it was also my first kind of Souls-like kind of game where when you die and you potentially lose your money, there were a load of little things that I was just really struggling to click with and get used to. So I put it back on, didn't stop playing it for about 40-50 hours. Whatever it was with the first time, it finally clicked the second time. I didn't start a new file, I continued from where I was up to, and it clicked, and I played through it, and I ran into the Soul Eater boss that absolutely ruined me, I ran into the Mantises that absolutely ruined me. The entire game was brutally difficult, but I was loving it, I couldn't stop. I ended up using a guide to get some hidden things that I hadn't figured out, because that's one of the only things where I was struggling with the language of the game. Didn't have that issue with Silksong. I 100%ed this game. The only thing I used the guide for was one memory locker. I'm going to say technically two, because part of the problem was I'd picked one up, died, and forgot. I must have just been in a really bad pain spell that day with a migraine or something, because I'd picked it up, I died, and I'd forgot to go back and get it again. So on a technicality it was two, because I had to look through the guide and I'm like, well, I've got all of these, and eventually I just had to go one through one, and I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe I got that one and forgot to go back for it. So yeah, for basically one memory locker, or socket, whichever they were actually called, one mask shard, and two spools. That was it. That's the only thing I actually needed a guide for. This game's language is absolute perfection. From the moment I put it on, it told me how to play the game, what it expected me from the game, and it wanted to educate me on how I would figure things out, and I was able to figure out all of the quests, even the really, really cryptic ones. The worst part is, there's a quest that you may know that gives you a tiny little screaming twisted bud in your inventory. I couldn't remember where the NPC was. I knew where I had to go, but I couldn't remember. I had that little screaming thing for best part of 30 hours in my save file before I finally remembered, oh my god, it's that part in Shellwood, isn't it? And then, yeah, I went and did that. So yeah, I managed to figure out all of the cryptic quests and all that without a guide, because the game teaches you how to play it, and as long as you're observant, you can get there. And you may be thinking, I'm really talking about this as if it's a very important game. It really is. This was my game of the year. It's the only game I beat 100% twice last year. I beat it on the Switch 2 first, and then I wanted to play it on my PC with ultra-wide, with really good HDR, because the Switch version does not. I wish I could say to you, describe to you how much better this game looks with actual HDR. The PC version, it is brilliant. It just pops. And the Switch 2 version, it just doesn't. I don't know why. It still looks good. Like, I still loved the game. This was my first thing, but as soon as I put the PC version on, I was like, it's not just the ultra-wide, which is perfect, because you get more of the screen. It doesn't give you black bars. It does get more of the screen, so it just fully encompasses your monitor. And then the HDR as well. It's just, yeah. And being able to play 4K and 120 FPS versus the Switch version of 1080 120. So I 100% at the Switch 2 version. Loved every minute of it. And immediately was like, yep, I'm going to start the PC version. I was always buying it twice because I want to support Team Cherry. And part of wanting the Switch 2 version is, because of the pain spells that I'm in, getting to sleep can be really difficult. So sometimes I'll be sitting playing and then immediately need to get to bed. And if I'm playing something like this and I don't have the ability to go to a bench, being able to put the Switch in sleep anywhere and it not hinder me, versus a PC where I'd have to be, or I have to get back to an early bench, or I have to keep pushing forward, and then the window of sleep might be completely gone for me and I'm completely screwed. So yeah, I had to play it on the Switch 2 first. Loved every minute of it. Played through it again on the PC. Loved every minute until I got to the final boss fight. Lost Lace for some reason. I had the most severe input lag only on the PC version. I'd never had a single issue throughout the entire game. Even at launch, the game had a couple of bugs, but like actual bugs, not the whole fact that it's Hollow Knight, but nothing game breaking. And on the PC it was even less, because by that point a load of the patches had came in. But for whatever reason, I was having the most severe input lag with Lost Lace, and the longer I tried, the worse it got. So eventually it was a case of, I'll let these kill her. So I basically cheesed the ever-living crap. I can't even remember the full build I went for. I know I went for the Architect's Crest because I had to basically constantly replenish my cog flies. I'm trying to remember what else I went for. I went for the needles, the tax, that's it, not needles. I went for the tax because she actually gets hit by the tax a lot, as long as you put them where you know she's going to, like, land. This is the fun thing. I'm saying I cheesed it. As you can probably tell, I truly know this fucking game, and I'm extremely good at it. I know the footage I'm showing here might not show it. I am extremely good at the bosses on this. It is very rare that I went into a boss and did it in more than 5 tries. More, like, I had so many bosses that I was one and done, so many bosses where it took 2 or 3. There's only 1 or 2 that actually took me a long time, and that's because I hadn't found upgrades. And when I replayed the game the second time, I cut more than 30 hours off my time because I knew where all of the best upgrades were. Act 1, I managed to go through it perfect, it turns out. I did the exact right order, got all the upgrades, I never struggled. Act 2, I didn't get the, whatever, I can't remember what it's actually called. I didn't get this, and I didn't therefore get this, the double jump. I did all of Act 2 without those. It was brutal. By the time I finally found those, and the problem is, I found Mount Fear, but I really, really honestly thought Mount Fear was this game's Path of Pain. And I'm like, I don't want to go there yet, because I don't have this, and I don't have this. And it turns out, as soon as I found this, I'm like, so that can't be Path of Pain. I need to go there right now. And then I immediately got double jump, and I'm like, oh my god. Act 2. So yeah, Act 2, the second time I did it, way easier. Way, way easier. Having to do the Growl fight and all of this stuff without this, way easier. So yeah, I'm genuinely good at the game. As much as I'm seeing cheesed, I figured out a really good tool strategy with the Architect, and I basically just ran and jumped and dodged over her all the time and just let the cogflies kill her. And it sucks that I had to resort to that, but even so, because I know that is a weird random issue that I only had on the PC, this game's as close to a masterpiece and perfect as I think you can actually get for me. It is, as far as I'm concerned, the best Metroidvania ever made. How I actually classify it: Hollow Knight is the best Metroidvania. Silksong is the best Vania Metroidvania. It instantly entered my top 3 below the 2 Zeldas that take up first place, and I will never apologise for that. Elden Ring and then Silksong. I absolutely love the crap out of this game. And I wanted to say this, and you may be thinking this is just constant rambling, and I'm not going to lie, I have totally took a different approach to this video today. And I did this intentionally because the whole point is I wanted you to hear how excited and how genuinely happy I am with this game. I've already said that Zelda game is my absolute peak, and this comes in at 3rd. This isn't my peak, but I've still got this drive, I've still got this love for games, and it's because what I realised, I may have found the peak in a specific genre, but I've still got Metroidvanias to get the peak of. Now I do. I've still got Souls-likes. I think Elden Ring probably is, like, Elden Ring and Lies of P are 2 of the only Souls-like I actually like, and I don't just like them, I love them. I still need to play the Lies of P DLC as well. I need to get around to it. Last year it just had so many games. But anyway, so I realised I've still got so many genres that I absolutely love playing that I don't think I've hit the peak in yet. I mean, I've probably had the best Smash Brothers. I don't see how you do better than Ultimate. I just think you can add to Ultimate. But that's like party fighters. But either way, fighting games. I think at this moment in time, Street Fighter 6 is my current favourite fighting game. I've finally found something to overtake what was my others. So I used to love Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 3, Fatal Fury, Guru, Mark of the Wolves. There's loads of games that I have. Capcom vs SNK 2. I play the ever-living crap out of Capcom vs SNK 2. I think Street Fighter 6 has finally overtaken it for me. And it's why I wanted to make this video, because as much as I feel like I have personally had my overall peak of gaming, I don't think I'm going to get anything that resonates with me quite like Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild did, as an all-encompassing story for what that means to me, for what that did for me at the time of my life when I needed it. I really do think that I've hit my peak, but that doesn't mean that I can't still be stupidly excited for these little toys, because there's so many other things out there, so many other games. I might have hit my peak with JRPGs, and there might be some people thinking that, oh yep, they're going to say Claire 33. No, it was in my top 10 last year. It dropped to 7th because I despised Act 3. I'll get to that when I actually get to that video, when I get to doing Claire 33, which I'll need to figure out how to do actual PC footage. I can do the footage, it's just getting my voice on the footage at the same time, because I've got Monster Hunter videos up from where I just recorded stuff on the Steam's auto whatever capture software thing it has. And that worked well enough, but I couldn't figure out how to get my voice on it, like live, without dubbing it over or anything. So anyway, I think I might have found my peak with JRPGs. With Metaphor ReFantazio, I absolutely love the crap out of that game. It really is something that I never thought would better Chrono Trigger, and it kind of did in almost every way. I seriously love that game so much. But I've got a few genres, therefore, where I'm only just starting to hit games that are my peak, and it's making me more excited than ever for gaming, because it took forever for Ocarina to be overtaken, and now I'm suddenly getting games as old as Chrono Trigger are getting overtaken. I'm getting games as old as, oh, to be honest, I'm struggling. Oh, Dawn of Sorrow. Yeah, I was about to say I'm struggling to think of what my peak Metroidvania was, but Dawn of Sorrow, as much as everyone raves about Aria of Sorrow, I think Dawn of Sorrow is one of the few games I would have ever gave a 10 out of 10 for. I played that game so much on the DS, like, I beat it maybe 50, 60 times. It's the most replayed Metroidvania I think I've ever played. It really was my absolute peak, so that's probably 20 years old at this point. I'm getting to this point where all of my absolute classics are slowly getting replaced, and there's still so many genres of games that I play. So if in the next 5 years I get the best racing game, I get the best fighting game, I know I technically said with Street Fighter, but at the same time, Street Fighter 6 is great. I still don't think they've hit peak in fighting games. I think there's more that can be done. That's a franchise where, as much as it's like my favourite games in the genre, I don't think we've peaked quite yet, because I do think there's ways to go, where all of these games are trying out slightly different things, and I think, yeah, we're building there. So I'm starting to get really excited about different genres. And at the time that I record this, I'm waiting for Mugenics to come out. Mugenics might well turn out to be... It won't be my favourite roguelike, because there's so many rogue games out there that they're a genre of their own. But it might turn out to be my all-time favourite strategy game. It's shaping up to be exceptionally good. I am severely hyped for Mugenics right now. So yeah. This title is essentially called, like, hitting peak and where to go from there. It turns out you go to the next genre. If you are someone who has felt that gaming has plateaued, I'm hoping that this video can actually, like, inspire you to try more things. I know there is a huge contingency of people at this moment in time who only play classic games, who eventually got to the point where it's like, yeah, I don't like what gaming's become, and I've stopped. And I understand that, I do, but at the same time, I feel it is very short-sighted to assume that things aren't better. I know there are severe problems with modern-day gaming. I truly do get it. I hate microtransactions. I hate all of the stuff that I was complaining about on this fucking channel over 20 years ago with bullshit DLCs and online-only checks. Like, Diablo 2 on the Switch 2, you can play it offline, but you can't ever pause it. Even using the home button to pause things, there's maddening things in games these days. I fully understand that there are so many problematic issues with games, but then there's also, and yes, I didn't really like the end of Act 3. Well, not the end of Act 3, all of Act 3. I am not one of those people who only didn't like the end of Claire. I really didn't like Act 3, and I will get to that, but I'm still going to bring it up. Like, it took over the industry for a reason. There's independent developers out there, and yeah, they're not fully technically independent. And Larian are fucking things over as well with them fully not technically independent by going, oh yeah, AI this and that. Gaming is still getting better. We're still learning this art form as an industry, as everything. We're still progressing in things. And yes, there are some people out there who don't like the progressive side of things, which if so, queer trans person here, fuck off. Sorry, but that's all I can pretty much say on it. If this is my first video you found, then you won't like me. I guarantee it. So bye. I understand there's those kinds of arseholes out there, but there's also people who have genuine valid reasons for not liking the modern state of gaming. But there is still some exceptional stuff out there. And quite frankly, there's more stuff out there than ever before. So much gets made that you truly can buy a console or buy a Switch 2 just to play indies. That was always true of the original Switch. It's even more true of the Switch 2. You don't have to support any of the really awful big companies that you're really pissed off with. You never have to buy Mario Kart World or anything. You can just buy a Switch 2 and play your Silk Songs, play your Hollow Knights, play your Hades, like, I know I'm about to say Hades too, and, like, there are so many amazing games, Mugenics, Binding of Isaac, like, so many fantastic games from fantastic creators out there who do make stuff that also make modern classics. Binding of Isaac is one of the closest games I've ever felt to playing the original Legend of Zelda. You don't just have to stick to old games if you want that vibe, is what I'm saying. If you are someone who has genuinely thought that gaming has peaked for you, I've been there, I have, and I would honestly say, maybe just try another genre, or try some modern classics, you know. You don't have to go for any of the major companies. Just stick to things like this. I can almost guarantee you that Silksong is better than the majority of AAA trash that comes out most days. And I'm not someone who truly does hate on AAA. I buy quite a few. My top 10 last year was pretty much an equal split of AAA and indie. I had things like Split Fiction on the AAA side, Silksong on the indie, Hades 2 on the indie. I had Claire on the indie. I had Metroid Prime 4. Yes, I genuinely liked that game enough to put it into my top 10. I had games all over the spectrum that I really, really enjoyed. And I feel lucky that I do like as many games and like as many things, because it kind of sucked when I thought that gaming wasn't going to get better than Ocarina. And when that hit me with Tears of the Kingdom, and I'm like, yep, this is it. This is the be-all, end-all. It was the first time I didn't have the mindset of, but that's not a bad thing, because it's the be-all, end-all of this genre. And nothing else needs to compare to this. It just needs to compare to the best in the other genres. And so when Silksong came out, it truly did come out at the right time for me, because I'd just finished a replay of Tears on the Switch 2, and I'd again hit that point of, yeah, I still haven't really played anything even close to this. Like, it's silly as it might sound to say, because I even didn't technically give that my Game of the Year in that year because of how broken and buggy and awful it ran on the Switch 2. On the Switch 1, I actually give it to Alan Wake 2. But again, that's because it's a different genre as well. And Alan Wake 2 is probably my favourite survival horror game, until I finally got around to playing Resident Evil Village in time for Requiem coming out, and now it's like, oh yeah, it's Village. It's Village by a mile. Village is, I think, the best one-and-done survival horror story. The 4 remake is still probably the best, most replayable. It's the one I've replayed the most, and that might shock people who have actually been on my channel for a while. I fucking hated Resident Evil 4 when it came out, and I hated it for a long time. That remake really fixed things. I can't wait to talk about that game. But anyway, I've kind of ranted and rambled on and moved off topic, but at the same time kind of stayed on topic, because I am bringing up games that I'm at the point where all of my favourites are starting to get modern, and I never thought I'd say that. I truly never thought that I'd see my top 10 be mostly games that have came out in the past 10 years. It's absolutely wild that we've hit that point, but we truly have, and I am so happy with, as much as the state of the gaming industry is in a dire issue, and I have takes about GTA, I genuinely think that could cause the next video game crash. Not because it'll come out and be absolutely awful or anything. I'm not someone who's hating on it saying I want it to fail. I think, you know how there's some people who say things are too big to fail? I think that's too big to succeed. I truly do fear that GTA 6 is going to come out to rave reviews, to record-breaking sales, to everyone saying this is the greatest thing in the history of ever, and then there's going to be a story. GTA 6 failed to meet expectations. We expected it to make $20 gajillion, and it only made $15 gajillion. As a result, we are, sorry to say, but we are announcing layoffs. I truly see this happening. I hope I'm wrong, I really do, but I truly see this fucking happening. I think gaming is going to be in a bit of a vile state going forward, but there's all these indies that aren't really going to be affected, because as long as you've got something that plays them, like a Switch 2, or like a Steam Deck, or a Steam Box when it comes out, or just a PC, I'm going to be fine just sticking with indie games. This channel championed indie games way before a lot of other people. It's why it's annoying that my health stopped me from doing YouTube, because I never wanted to be famous or rich from this or anything. It was always a hobby to me, but at the same time, I know fine well I could have actually done something, because I was reviewing stuff before anyone else was ever caring about it. And now, thankfully, we've got to the point where there's so many channels out there covering these things, but I was doing that shit long before anyone else. I literally got to a point where people were, coming into my comment section going, this is about to come out, you're going to cover it. And it's like, what is it? Tell me about it, because if even one person had interest, I would consider covering it, because that's how indie games worked back then. You didn't really find many people who had interest. So if just one person had interest, I'm like, right, let's see if I can get interest, and let's see if I can make a video on it to give interest to someone else. And eventually, other people started to follow suit. So yeah, I think this video is finally done. It's it's definitely twice as long as yesterday, but this is one where I know fine well I think I've done a much better job, and maybe you won't agree, but I'm actually so happy with how this has went. And the best part is, it's because I'm going to see my buys, hit the stop button, and I'm going to still check it, but I genuinely have faith and confidence that this is going to fucking work finally. That this, for the first time, I'm going to have booted it, and everything's going to work fine, because I've changed the port. And if so, for such a tiny little tech issue to be the thing that has drove me mad for nearly 8 months now, I really wanted to relaunch this channel a lot sooner than I did. Yeah. It's just, that's just sometimes the way life is, I guess. The little things can really make a big difference. Maybe that's what I was building to. So, before I start ranting on about something else, until the next time, this has been video game story time with Sky Fellowship, and I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!